Right, we're now joined via Zoom by international relations analyst Professor David Monyae to reflect on the life and legacy of the former Prime Minister, Japanese Shinzo Abe, and former Angolan President Eduardo dos Santos. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Good afternoon.
Well, as the world mourns the Japanese former Prime Minister, let's talk about his leadership qualities and certainly the legacy that he leaves behind.
He was a very thoughtful a person that loves his country dearly and contributed significantly to global peace and security. He comes from a very conservative background. And his views, particularly on the role of Japan in massacres in China, was a bit checkered. And other than that, I think when it comes to his time at the helm, he was quite close to, firstly, South Africa, the relationship with South African leadership as expressed by President Ramaphosa, as well as at continental level. I think he understood the importance of multilateralism, and he really, as the longest-serving prime minister, served the country well in terms of turning around the Japanese economy to a relatively better position. When his predecessor took over, he did quite well.
Yeah, I mean, these events that took place today are clearly quite shocking, not only because, Japan is known to be, quite a peaceful country, and also based on the fact that he seemed to be, very well loved. He's, Japan's longest serving prime minister, one of the most consequential world leaders in the last 20 years. And of course, his strong foreign policy that you mentioned provided an effective counter to China. What do you make of this situation and what's unfolded? I'm sure we'll get more news about this man that shot him, but what do you make at first instance of what's taken place?
I think we have to understand that at this particular moment in world history, the global economy is not doing well, and I think what comes with such events when the economies all over the world are depressed, history tells us that there's a tendency of a rise of fascism. I think we see what's happening in the United States. It's not different from what's happening in UK, the entire European Union, and in our own country. There are shocking events, violence, where certain political views are really taking the countries backwards. And one will fully understand what's happening in Japan, a very quiet country. As the previous speaker mentioned, that it's unusual and it's rare, but I don't think Japan is immune from what's happening at the global level. I think we're going to see more of these issues where they have less tolerance of opposing views.
Yeah, Prof. Monyae, let's then also weigh in on the passing of José Eduardo dos Santos. What is your reaction this afternoon? As of course, I was speaking to our international news editor, and a mixed bag of reactions, many as they reflect on his legacy, speak of rampant corruption. They talk about his image being tarnished by that sort of nepotism. But surely there is more to be said about the sort of legacy that he does leave behind.
Oh, indeed. Angola, he came into power at a very young age, at the age of 37, taking over from NATO. And I think he's one of those leaders that play a critical role in sustaining the revolution in Angola. He played massive roles in Southern Africa, particularly for South Africa, assisted the liberation movements. I think it was under his leadership, particularly in the 1980s, and the former apartheid regime funded and really advanced the UNITA with Jonas Savimbi whom he really fought with endlessly in the civil war that was very long, with almost 500,000 Angolans died. And he also came out of that war in early 2000 with the death of Savimbi and elections continuing in Angola. However, this other side was that in the 4 decades that he was in power, there were quite a number of developments, some good in terms of infrastructure development and the like. However, overwhelming majority of Angolans are still marred in poverty and high level of corruption, particularly his family, with his daughter being the richest woman in Africa, his own son, Zenu, who's in prison as we speak, on corruption charges. And therefore, he has this mixed bag. He played a critical role. I think history will remember him for that. However, he also gives us a picture of what not to do, particularly when it comes to other liberation movements, including the ANC, that there is a need to learn from former liberation movements and to really bring in good governance, anti-corruption, and ensure that we stick to the original mission, which is to liberate our people from economic suppression.
All right, Prof, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks as always for weighing in. David Monyae, reflecting on the life and legacy of former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, as well as former Angolan President Jose Eduardo dos Santos.